Hi, my name is Steve Miller and I will be doing a overview of Blackboard. Now the first thing I want to comment on is that if you're choosing a internet browser, I would highly recommend using Firefox with Blackboard. It seems to be the most reliable browser to allow you to see everything that you might want and need to do in your Blackboard shell. It seems to work best with Firefox. Okay, so let's begin with the first entry page. You know, everybody's will look like this with the exception, of course, my courses. So the listing there of your courses, you can see there that I have 3 courses, and then I have a developmental shell, and you can see at the beside there in brackets it says not currently available. Well, when you begin your semester, all of your courses, whatever number you have above that developmental shell, will all say not currently available until you make it available. And I'll show you the 2 locations in a separate video of where you can make it available. So your course listings are there, so you should check them to ensure that the courses you're teaching have a Blackboard shell equivalent. Now, a couple of other things to note. Your announcements that are most current will be located there. So upon a first arrival into your Blackboard, starting page, the current announcements will be posted. Now, I'd like to comment on a couple of things. Now, there may be times when there's other Blackboard help and support you might like, and at the bottom right hand, right there, you can see that there is a link for Blackboard support. Now, it will take you to a separate page where you can get how-to videos on Blackboard. Now, in addition, it's possible you could have 2 sections of one course. So you may have 2 Blackboard shells for courses that are the same course, same content, but different students. Now, what you could use here is in the bottom left hand, what is known as a course management tool. And you can click on that or have access or ask for the faculty Blackboard support people to help you with that merging. It enables you to put all of your students into one shell. Instead of putting up things double, you could just put things up once. Okay, that's basically your entry page. Now, once you get to your entry page, you're going to want to navigate to a course. I'm going to navigate to my my lifestyle management. And now we'll just have a quick look of what is available here. Now, this is your shell of a particular course that you have. We're looking at my course, that is my lifestyle management. Now, there's a few things to note. One is on the far left-hand side, you have a bunch of tools here available for students. This is something students will navigate, you will navigate, in order to see what's going on in your Blackboard shell. Now, there's a couple of things to note. You're seeing a number of links of which you can choose which ones you want available and which ones you want to use or how you want to label them. Now, you can see that under course information, I have a little box with a line through it. It means that it's currently hidden from students. I don't put anything in that box. I put everything else in one location. So if you come over to the side where there's a chevron, and Blackboard is handy this way, anywhere there's a chevron, it gives you some options. If I click on it, I can rename course information to another term that I want to use. I can rename it anything I want. I can either show, or as the case here, it's hidden. If I click on show, you're going to see that line disappears. Now it's available for students to see. My preference is I remove anything that students don't need, or I don't put anything in so they don't get clicking around finding things or looking for things that aren't there. Now, I've changed faculty, I think it says faculty support normally, or faculty contact or something. I just renamed the link. It will then change it into something that is editable. You can change it to whatever you like. Click the check mark and it's saved. I did the same with assignments. It's not viewed. It's because I put all my content in weekly content. Now, I believe it indicates originally it was say weekly learning. I changed it to weekly content. You can make changes as you would like. Now, I don't think they need faculty help and support, so I make that invisible. That's for my purpose, and if I click on it, I'm able to still access all of the support that Georgian offers me for faculty support. I can break things down. There's some information, but then I have my tip sheets available to me that are been made, plus instructional videos on how to make use of some of the things in Blackboard. Now I'm going to create some additional, so I'm going to close this, come back. So students don't need to see it, so I make that disappear. Now there will be from time to time faculty feedback or surveys that will be asked for that students fill out. They'll be located here. Now below here you see course management tools. Now none of these are available to students. These are only available for you as a faculty, and it allows us to populate and alter anything that we need to best suit our course material. Now I'll do a separate video on just these a little bit later, but what I'm going to focus on is just getting you orientated. Now when you get to your shell, the first thing that comes up is all of your announcements. Now there's a few things you should know. Now you see my mouse going over it, it highlights. Now I can change any announcement that I need to by chevron, by editing, or I can delete the announcement. Now it's important to note, you can also see when it was posted. I posted this announcement on Monday, February 3rd at 8 a.m. The test is there. I've put this one up on the 26th. So you have an idea of when you posted things. You can set a date when they open and a date when they close. And I'll get into that when I show you how to make announcements. My first step is just to orientate you to your shell. So all of my announcements are here, even if they're not available anymore. Now I can either choose then to delete it, or I could just keep record of everything. Now they are on a slider, so I can change their position if it's important to me to do so. As it turns out, for me, it's not. Okay, now there's a couple of other things I'll note up here in the top yellow bar. Now you see this, it's called Enter Student Preview. Now one of the really helpful things that Blackboard allows us to do is that once I've put things up, I can check in a student view how the students will see it. By clicking here, it'll take a moment, and there's the student view. Now a couple of things will be notable to you. One, there's no course management tools down here. That is for faculty only, and those elements that I wanted to hide are hidden. The announcements are here. Now if I scroll down, the announcements that are no longer available don't show up to students. They only show up to you. So you can leave whatever. This one here I put up in December 23rd before the semester began, but I want it up for the entire semester, so they will always have access to how to navigate Blackboard, what are some important elements, and so it's important that I leave that up. That's important to me. Now once you've looked and seen, okay, everything's fine the way I want to see it, you have to remember to exit preview setting. So when you exit, you get back to your faculty view, and there's your course management tools, and all of your announcements are there. Now you may have noticed that I have yellow up here. You may have looked at your Blackboard shell and it doesn't have any color. It has something else. Well, you can change your course theme if you want. You just click here and pull up something that you're interested in. Now what I have it set at sports. It could be set to something else. It's just something fun. It's not required. Now this is really important. This is an update to Blackboard. It used to be that if I wanted to make my course available, I'm going to come back to the beginning for a minute, and where it says not currently available, your courses here will be all that way when you enter into your beginning of the semester. So this will make it available. If I click it again, it will make it unavailable. Now it used to be, and it's still possible, you go down to customization here, to properties, and at number 2, set availability, it's available yes. If I choose no, it will go here. This button up here does the same thing, only it's a lot more convenient. All right, so let's come back to starting page there. Now the only other one up here that's worth noting is that it's currently saying edit mode is on. That means I can take anything that has a chevron and I can edit it. Now if I turn off the edit mode, everything that I could edit I can no longer edit. There's no ability to edit. Now, I'm not sure exactly why we would want the edit mode off, so please ensure that the edit mode is on. I think it's on by default. So that's basically an orientation to your course. Now, what I'm going to do is I will walk you through Grade Center. Now, this is in course management. I will now I will set up a video where you can learn how to do Grade Center. Now we're going to look at how to set up your Grade Center. We first need to get into Grade Center. So if we come down to the course management tools under Grade Center and click it, it will give us some opportunities here. Now you will see some options. Now currently I have a test going. I don't have an assignment ready to go up as of yet. It's in for them to do, but it won't have a separate place for it yet. But we'll start with needs grading. Needs grading, you'll see in your Grade Center when we get there that there's a symbol for needs grading. Now these are all indicators of things that need grading. Now it just so happens this particular journal is not graded until the end of semester. So these are all done, but it tells me when students have submitted them, what their name is, and what it is that needs to be graded. If we go into the full Grade Center, we'll see that that journal holds a column. And there it is, am I an online learner? And all these people have completed, and that's the symbol you will see when something needs grading. If they didn't complete something, it's not there, it doesn't need grading. Now I've made a column for this, and there's a weighted column, and there's a total. Now all other columns that you might want to add for all the items that students will be receiving grades for are columns that you will need to create. Now I'll point out a couple things because you might notice that is I have color coded on grades. I'll show you that in another video on how you can color code that gives you a quick bird's eye view of how students are doing. Now you can see here, this is a test column. This is for lifestyle management, test number 1. And I have one student that has completed and one student who is currently writing. Now what I can do, and I won't do it right now, but I will show you, is this is only showing the raw score out of 50. You can show the raw score plus a percentage for those for helpful support to students if you want. So let's create a column. Now up here are some column creation tools or Grade Center tools. Create a column is what you'll do for every item that receives a mark. So in my case I have 5 journals, sometimes 6, I have 3 tests, and I have an assignment. So I can create a column for each of those things. Now because this particular shell is an online shell, when I post a test, the Blackboard test and Blackboard will create a test column for me. I didn't create this column and I didn't create this column. Blackboard did it for me because there was a grade associated with it. Now if you're an in-class teacher, you'll need to create all these columns yourself, which is fine. I often do that anyway and then just replace that column that I created with the one that Blackboard creates for the graded column. So let's create a column. Now, I'll point it out now and I'll say it now. Unless you have a good reason to create a calculated column, because there's already 1, 2 here, don't create a calculated column. Only create column. So we'll create one. Now, every time there's an asterisk, you must put something in it. So we're going to call this Journal 3. Whoops, let's spell journal correctly and that'll make it easier. Now I don't have to put anything in here, and by choice I don't, and I don't put in a description. All of this information is available when the student goes to the week where Journal 3 will be. So it's going to show that there will be a primary score. So if my journal is out of 5, the score will be out of 5. Now what you can do, as I mentioned there, when you saw the score that it was 41 out of 50, that was a raw score. Now if I chose as a secondary display a percentage, it's going to show me the raw score, 41, and it's going to show me the percentage, 82. that student might be interested in. You must put a number of points in, otherwise the column can't calculate. Now the date here is applicable to, if you put the date for that journal to be due here, it will go into the Blackboard calendar. Now that's helpful for those students who might be using the Blackboard calendar. My experience has been that a lot of students don't use it. That doesn't mean you shouldn't still put it there. Now I don't change these. This column was included in the grade center calculations. Yes, it's a default. Show this column to students. Yes, I want them to see this. Now, it might be possible that there are times when you'd rather they don't see that column until later. You can say no and make it available later if you want. And I don't want to show the average or the median scores to students. I don't always find that to be most helpful, although some students would like to see that. I don't put it up just because I don't think all students want to. So now I'm going to say submit. Now I didn't do very much, but now I have another column. Now you notice that when columns get added, they get added to the right of weighted and totaled. Now that to me is not in the correct order for my interest's sake. So what I do instead is I will choose to go through and reorder these. So that's what I'm going to do in the next video. Now what we're going to do is look at how we reorder the weighted columns, or sorry, the columns that we created. Now I've created one. Let's create one more just to make it worth our while. And we'll do this as assignment, and we're going to say I want the percentage again. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to have to give it some marks, so I'm going to say it's 60 marks. Now you can add a rubrics here. You can select one that you have. You can create a new one using Blackboard, or maybe you saved one in Blackboard from a previous semester and you want to pull that one up. Again, the date. These I don't change. So I'm submitting to create another column. Now I've got about, what have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4 columns, and I want to reorganize them. Now it doesn't matter that I've got grades in here. It doesn't change the grades to reorder the columns. So in order to reorder columns, we go to Manage, Column Organization, and we click there. Now it's going to pull up a number of things for us. One, the first and last name are frozen. That just means we can't hide or delete them. The names will remain there. But you can see student ID I've hidden. Now I've hidden it because one, it rarely gets populated with any data, and so I don't want it taking up real estate in my grade center. I like to see more of what I need to see. So I want to see the student's first and last name. I want to see their student number. I want to see when they last accessed my Blackboard shell, so that date represents that. And availability, it's handy to have. You don't have to have it once the semester's unfolding, because this just says whether the student is available, has availability to Blackboard. If for some reason a student were to have breached some criteria about use of LMS or use of resources online, they may have their availability to Blackboard limited, in which case that will be posted there. Now if we scroll down a little further, now we have all of our columns. And I have the first journal where I want it, but I want to move these in as well. And since for me, the test, I'm going to drag it up, then I'm going to bring in journal 2, then journal 3, and then the assignment. Whoops, I didn't move 3 all the way up. So it's just dragging, reorganizing, just as you might do in another little system. So I've got these in the order that I like, so I'm going to submit. Now when I look at my columns, they're in the order I want, and that makes me happy. Now you might notice, and we haven't done this yet, but I'd like to show you, is how to use your weighted column, because in this column you're seeing everything's listed in the total. Now what about this column, weighted column? What does it do? That's what we're going to do in our next video. Now we're going to do is work with our weighted column. So if we come over to the weighted column, now you see I have a check mark that's green listing that it's the external grade. Chances are if you've just started using your Blackboard shell, your total will have that green check mark. What I did was I went to the weighted total, went to the chevron, which is the editing, and I changed that column. If I go over to total, it will show you that set as external grade, but I don't want the check mark to be there. I want it on the weighted total. So here's what we'll do. We're going to go in and we're going to edit the column. Now a few things will be at our availability here. We don't need to change anything here, but I'm going to say this just the percentage, because I know that students are really interested. Now if I wanted to, I could put score and percentages, but the total counts the score, so I'm going to leave that. Here's the part that's most important. Now I have some columns that in my syllabus indicate they have weighted values to them. So let's move the columns over that have weighted values. Now my journals do, my assignments do, my tests do, but my totals do not. Now you've noticed it creates a box and there's an asterisk, so I have to put something in there. So what I do is I go to my syllabus and see what's there. How much weight do I give them? So I give my journals 5. Now what you're seeing as I do this is this total weight is growing. Every time I add something, it's going to count the total that I've added, and it's going to tell me whether I'm at 100% or not. Now because we're not there and we're not complete yet, it won't, but that's okay. So this is 16%, that's 5%, and the assignment, it's worth a whopping 25%. So currently I have 56% of the semester loaded in Blackboard for grades. So I can say, okay, that's enough. If I scroll down here, I'm not changing these. And yes, it's a running total. I want to have those items there. Now, even though I don't have 100%, I can still submit and come back later when I add those columns and complete it. See, it's going to warn me. The sum doesn't total 100%. You have to remember to add the additional columns and add them to the weighted column for them to be complete. So I open it up, and so now I start to see some grades in here. Now, the reason why it represents 100% here is because the first journal is the only thing they've done, and it's 5 out of 5, so that's 100%. So of that weighted column, but there's nothing in journal 3. There's nothing in the assignment, and in this case they haven't done the tests. This student has. So let's, for the sake of doing this, let's just, how do we change this? Now if I go to, whoops. Now this student has completed a test, but it doesn't have a percentage. So if we come up to lifestyle management column, we can edit, there we go, edit column information. Come over here where it says score, and we can add percentage. And there we go. So now all of them will have a percentage. And therefore this starts to make more sense. And as the semester goes on, this will make complete sense. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to look at color coding your grade center if you were so inclined to do so. Okay, in this video, we're just going to see how we color code. Now, it's a choice that I've done because it gives me at a glance anything, and I'll show you, it's easier for me to show you. We'll go to grading schemes or grading color codes here. Now, what you can do, first, ensure that this is enabled for your colors to come through. Now, I've come down here, and this is your grade ranges. So for me, the way I do this is that 0 on a test, assignment, or journal up to 49.99% gets a red. I put white because the white shows up better than the black. And so that color codes everyone who's failed some element in the course gets a red. So at a glance, I can see how many students aren't doing as well on a particular assignment. Then I make a yellow one, which is people between the 50 and 59.99. It's not a critical issue, but it's for those who might be interested in their semester weighted average, being that they need to get 60% to graduate. It gives me a precaution of people who need to be wary. And then anything over 60% is green. And so when it gets populated, the Grade Center stands out for me. It allows me to see how well my students are doing at a glance. Now, the one thing I'll point out while we're here, if you want to download an Excel version of your Grade Center, you can do that from Blackboard. If you go to, and it's an odd place to put it, but work offline, you can download, and we'll click on that, your full Grade Center, or you can do a selected column. I usually do a full Grade Center because if I want to get my class names, this is one way I can get them into an Excel spreadsheet and keep track of records on an Excel spreadsheet as well as in Blackboard. I find the Excel spreadsheet to be a little more accurate. Now, all I end up doing is going submit. It's going to say you can download it now. Now, I'm on a Mac, so on a PC it'll work subtly different, but however, your option of downloading, and then it will say, do you want to open with numbers, or you can certainly change it to Excel. Because I'm on a Mac, I say I want it in numbers, but it'll be defaulted in Excel for those of you on a PC. So I click numbers, and I want it to open with that. So I click that, I download, it sends it to my download, and I can find it in my download center. And so you can as well, and therefore it's handy to start off your semester with your fresh class lists done that way. That is a handy way. All right. All right, so that's basically what I'm going to show you in Grade Center. I will show you in other videos how to navigate through Blackboard to post documents, videos, audio files, web addresses, PowerPoints, PDFs. There will be a lot of other resources on this YouTube channel. So I hope this has been helpful. If you have other things you're interested in learning about that I could make a video on and post here for you, please just email me. I'm at steve.miller@georgiancollege.ca. You'll see the web address or my email address on the screen there. Please just email me and make a suggestion, and I'll quickly put something up for you as quickly as I can. All right now, everybody, thank you very much, and good luck.